stood outside the small cafe, watching the last drops run down the window. It was almost midnight, and the street lay deserted. She should have gone home long ago, but something kept her there. Maybe it was the scent of coffee still seeping through the door, or maybe it was the feeling that something was about to happen. The doorbell chimed as she finally stepped inside. The warmth embraced her immediately, along with something else, a feeling she couldn't quite place. Behind the counter stood him. He looked up, and their eyes met. In that second, the world stopped. His eyes were dark as the midnight sky, and in them lay something that made her heart skip a beat. A smile slowly spread across his lips. Not an ordinary polite smile, but something deeper, as if he had been waiting for her. "We're closing soon," he said with a voice as smooth as velvet. "But for you, I can make an exception." Emma felt warmth spreading through her body, and it had nothing to do with the cafe's temperature. She approached the counter, aware of every step, every breath. "What do you recommend?" she asked, her voice sounding lower than usual. He leaned closer over the counter. Now she could catch his scent, something with wood notes and vanilla mixed with coffee beans. "That depends," he whispered, "on what you're looking for. Something to keep you awake, or something to make you dream." His fingers almost touched hers as he handed over the menu. The electricity between them was palpable, as if the air itself had become charged. Emma drew in a deep breath and met his gaze again. "Surprise me," she said. Something flared in his eyes. He turned to prepare the drink, and Emma couldn't help but watch how he moved, every movement marked by a natural confidence that awakened something inside her. When he turned back, he held a cup in his hand. Steam curled up between them like an invitation. "Taste," he said softly. She lifted the cup to her lips, aware that he was following every small movement. The first taste was bitter, then sweet, and finally something she couldn't define, something that made her want more. "What did you think?" he asked. "It's..." She hesitated, searching for the right words. "Intense." He smiled, slowly and deliberately. The best things usually are. Emma sat down by the window, and he followed her, this time from the other side of the counter. He sat down opposite her, and suddenly the small table felt like the only place in the world. "I've seen you walk past here before," he said, "every evening at the same time, but you've never come in. And you've noticed." Emma felt her pulse quicken. "How could I miss you?" The words hung in the air between them, charged with a meaning that went beyond what was said. She could feel his gaze on her lips as she took another sip of the hot drink. "Why do you stay open so late?" she asked. He leaned back, but his eyes never left hers. "I could say it's for business. But the truth..." He paused, letting the tension build. "I'm always waiting for something interesting to happen. And has it happened tonight?" He rose slowly and walked around the table. Every step felt intentional, like a dance they both knew would come. When he stopped beside her, he leaned down, his face just inches from hers. "What do you think?" he whispered. Emma could feel the warmth of his breath against her cheek. Her heart was pounding so hard she was certain he could hear it. Slowly, as if they had all the time in the world, she turned her face toward his. The moment stretched out. His hand moved up, and she thought he would touch her face, but instead he stopped, his fingertips hovering just millimeters from her cheek. The tension was almost unbearable. "I should go," Emma whispered, but neither of them moved. "Should you?" His voice was low, full of unspoken promises. Instead of answering, she rose slowly. Now they stood face to face, so close that she could see the golden flames in his dark eyes. He looked at her lips, then back into her eyes, as if for something they both wanted. Time had lost its meaning. There was no longer a boundary between one breath and the next, between her world and his. His hand finally landed against her cheek, warm and firm. She leaned into the touch, closed her eyes for a moment, and let the feelings wash over her. When she opened her eyes again, he smiled, not the confident smile from before, but something softer, more genuine. "You enchant me," he whispered. "Then we're two." Outside, the rain had begun to fall again, soft drops drumming against the window. But in there, in the warm light of the cafe, only the two of them existed. Everything else had disappeared. Finally, after what could have been seconds or hours, she pulled back gently. Not because she wanted to, but because some moments were too perfect to end in a rush. "Will you come back tomorrow?" he asked, his voice still low and filled with longing. Emma smiled, slowly and promisingly. "What do you think?" She walked toward the door, aware of his gaze on her back. When she turned around in the doorway, he still stood by the table, as if caught in the same spell as her. "I'll be waiting for you," he said. "I know." Out on the street, the night was still young and the rain cold against her flushed cheeks. But Emma felt more alive than ever. She knew she would come back. She knew this was just the beginning of something that would change everything. And when she turned around one last time, she saw him standing in the window watching her, with a promise in his gaze that neither of them needed to voice. Some encounters happen only once, but when they do, they turn the night into a dream you never want to wake from. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with promises waiting